Today on the Creative Lens, we're going to be doing another Q&A based episode, which is about creative habits. So we've had a couple of viewers get in touch with us with some really cool questions, and then we'll jump into that. But firstly, Wade, how are you traveling this week?
I'm doing pretty good, actually. Just enjoying the morning. How about you?
Yeah, no, very good. Just getting back into the swing of things after getting married recently, which, I saw you at the reception there. Thanks. Appreciate you coming.
Oh, thanks, mate. It was good. It was great. I enjoyed. That was a good night.
Yeah, good time had by all. She turned up, which was great. So, all right, man. So let's launch into this first question. So you've got that one in your hot little hands over there.
I do. I got a question here from someone else whose name also happens to be Ryan, funnily enough. But anyway, so the question was, what are some strong habits you've purposely built to get better at what you do as a creative?
Oof, do you want me to lead off on this one?
Yeah, man, you go.
All right. So first thing that pops into my head. So we take these questions straight off the bat, which is the fun side of things. So you're hearing us think out loud, which is kind of fun for us to do. But the word which sticks in my head is consistency. So I think if you want to build a skill, you have to have consistency. And if you unpack that to another level, what allows someone to achieve consistency? And that's being organized and having their time managed. Okay, so firstly, you have to have a consistent routine in which you can apply yourself to build a skill, which is very important when being creative. And then you have to, with that consistency, you have to use it effectively in terms of knowing and understanding what you can work on. But I think that's, in terms of what I've developed with my workflows and practice routines and building skills up over the years, I think you could boil it down to consistency and then managing the intensity of that workflow when you're building skills, because you can't practice at super high intensity all the time. You have to push it up to reach that intensity at times, but you've also got to let your body absorb the skills, or your mind absorb the skills or the knowledge. And it's constantly waiving that intensity where you're working on something, getting to know it at a deep and intimate level, and then occasionally, and frequently, but just pushing it up to get that intensity to push the skill further. When you start to sort of redline or fatigue a little bit, pull it back down just a little bit where it's a bit more comfortable. So you're developing the skill in a nice, controlled manner. But Wade, that's enough of me thinking out loud.
Just a question about that. So do you think that's something you adjust consistently? Obviously, when you start off, you get an idea of I think this amount is good. Is that something you feel like you adjust over time? Is go, okay, look, this is a little bit too much. Do you adjust your frequency to find that consistency? Does it constantly change a bit?
Well, I think for me, the consistency or the amount of times I practice or work on music doesn't change. I usually have a guitar in my hand most days, pretty much every day of the week. And I'm practicing at least 6 days a week. Some weeks 5, but I try and get 6 days a week practice, because I enjoy it too. But I adjust the intensity of my practice. And that allows me to stay, you can't just pick it up every day and just be going to war. I got to get this done, got to do it. Everything's just flat out. You're stressing, you're pushing it. You have to just practice with a calmness and a degree of accuracy with everything you're doing. And that consistency, doing that over a long period of time. Because I love the analogy of every time you go to work on something, you're getting that little bit better. It's almost like you want to save up $100. Every time you practice, you get $1.
And that $100 builds up quicker than you'd expect. So yeah, well, that's cool. To answer your question, one of the biggest things, I think consistency is the most important. But to answer with something else, which I think builds on that, is taking the time to learn to observe and interpret a little bit. Consistency is a big thing. And as far as art goes, obviously I draw a fair bit, but I'm very inconsistent because I've done it for so long. There's a bunch of things I do, digital art. I'm all pretty inconsistent with that, but martial arts, which some people might think is physical training, the art of establishing my approach to how I spar and how I get in and out, that is a very artistic thing as well. But across the board, in all of those things in my life, one of the biggest things I've noticed is instead of constantly focusing on what I'm doing, I need to also, because you hit a wall sometimes, and I had to go, okay, drawing's an easiest example to use, where I would look at comic books or other things that people have drawn. And if I liked it, I go, cool, why do I like it? And I'd really take a look at it and go, well, there's a concept here of, for one, I noticed that in a lot of comic books that they outline a character with a really thick outline, and then they will do details and thinner outlines, finer details and thinner outlines again. Or they might change the color of the outline to match the object. So you might have like a gray piece of metal that has like just a darker gray outline instead of everything being black. So like you notice these little things, or things like proportion. So being able to go, why is that working? Why is that guy getting punched in the face in Muay Thai and I can't land a hit on him? It's like, how is he approaching the entry and that, and how can I use those concepts? And when it's drawing, I'll just bang my desk. When it's drawing, looking at that image and trying to see, what's this got that I don't have? What's different about it, and how can I apply it to my drawings? And trying to just take the time to really observe things and go, cool, and dissect them. I think it is a skill, but also something, if you make it a habit, when you stop and purposefully do it, after a while, you'll just unconsciously do it.
That's fascinating, man. But one thing I want to add to that is I've had an experience where I might be learning a piece of music or a phrase or a lick or something, and I'll be looking at it, and I know the notes, and I'm working on the sequence. And if we're getting into like guitar nerd stuff, like, I'm putting together my own finger positionings and pick angles and all that sort of stuff. And I'll reach a point with it, and I'll be like, okay, that feels a little bit stuck. Because when something goes, and you can probably relate to this in martial arts, when something is working really well, excuse me, it kind of flows. It feels kind of effortless when everything's lined up. And what I'll do to that effect, like you're watching another person spar, I'll pull up a video of someone playing the part, and like I've had, not all the time, but I get a lot of, I don't know how, because it's not a conscious thing, but I look at it, and I guess I can look at maybe the hand positioning and stuff like that, and I might make little adjustments. And like I've had instances where I just do it. Just observing someone else do it, and like body makes that adjustment. So I think having that ability where you're watching other people do it and absorbing that, putting yourself in that environment, is massive for building skills and creativity.
I will say too that this is something that both of us in particular will have noticed too, that because you've been teaching guitar for 20 years or something. I've been teaching martial arts for over 15 years. Yeah, well, one of the best things you can do to acquire the idea of observing and dissecting something is, if you reach a certain skill level, trying to teach other people, all of a sudden you get forced into this position where you'll go, this is how I do it, and people will do it. But then there'll be those people who just can't make it work, and you're forced to look at them and figure out why, because you're the teacher. And you get better at that. It's a skill. You get better at identifying things. And that then reflects back on, you go, well, yeah, I noticed that I do this. But it also then enhances your ability to go, I can improve this area because I've noticed this in other people. And so teaching is a really powerful way, I think, obviously you have to have a certain amount of knowledge before you can teach, at least a little bit more than the other person. So yeah, I think it's a great tool for that as well.
Yeah, I tell all, it's like there's a couple of my students who are sort of up and coming players, and they have the potential to be very high level. And I tell them, like, you have to do a little bit of teaching, at least a little bit, because with what you said, it deepens your knowledge. It makes you such a better practitioner at whatever you're doing, because it forces you to look at situations and then articulate that problem and solution to a person, and in the process it deepens your knowledge.
100%. And on that note, we have another question. What do we do with all this knowledge? So that's not the question, but a question by Jamie is, do you think it's possible for anyone to monetize their passion, as in make money from what they're passionate about? I'll get you to answer that one first.
Oof.
No pressure.
Yeah, wow. Well, look, what is it? So effectively, if you're monetizing something, you're potentially turning it into a business, right?
Yeah.
And look, the obvious answer is yes. Like, I want to say, yeah, sure you can. Absolutely. Like, people do video games. Like, how long ago was that? Maybe when we were kids, you couldn't be a professional gamer.
No way. Didn't
It
see
just
that when we were
wasn't
kids.
a thing. Like, I'm sure like people make money off video games now, like streaming, all that sort of stuff. Like, I think the thing is, you've either got to look at it from, can I do something to a high enough level that's going to be entertaining to people? Or can I generate services and products that people are going to want to watch and buy? And I think if you can do that, or tick either one of those boxes, I think you can monetize your passion. Can you shoot holes in that?
I would say that you're right. I guess the only difference is how realistic is it that you can make a living from it. Is not that was part of the question, but if you're breaking that apart, that's, I think the level I think that meets is the differentiator, is how much. Because obviously, if my passion is attacking phones with a hammer, not many people are going to want to watch that. Some people will, though. I might make $20 a month, but will I make a living? Probably not.
Well, yeah, but I think the thing is, can you do that in a way which is because to me that would be something you do which is entertaining to people. Can you? All right, here's a question. Can you put a phone on the other side of a house, throw a hammer over that house, and break that phone? I bet you if you could do that, you'd get like millions of views on YouTube.
This is why I love these chats. That is such a good answer. It's funny, but at the same time, it's a good answer because it's really, people look at that and think, well, I do this, and you can't make money off that, or not much. And you go, well, hey, why don't you change the conversation a little bit? Why don't you raise the stakes or, change the presentation? It's such a good point. And if there's any skill you have, if you can teach it, you can sell the skill.
I don't know how many people would be signing up for the full premium course of how to throw a hammer. But do you know what I mean? Like, if you could do stuff which is like novelty and entertainment. Like, have you ever seen those videos? There's a guy, I don't know his name, I forget it, but someone showed me, and they're like 20-minute YouTube videos where I think he's like a NASA engineer, but he's built like these obstacle courses and things for squirrels or wildlife in his backyard. And like it takes him, like, it's serious in time and investment to put this together, his videos, and it's amazing content.
I think I've seen one where they had it's like a Mario level.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. It might be him, might not be, but I've seen something like that. My kids love it.
Yeah, and it's like that's such a simple idea, but if you do it in a way, you can do anything in a way which is entertaining to people. You just got to think about it. If something's difficult or novel, people will probably want to watch it.
Well, I think that is such a valid point. But also, if you really think about it creatively, now this is starting to get a little bit off the tangent. I guess this is becoming more about more of an entertaining discussion, I think. But if you go back to the hammer to the phone thing, imagine if you did it in such a creative way that it was entertaining enough that other people want to start doing it, that you start going, cool, well, let's set up a safety barrier and have competitions where you put a phone 10 meters away, 15 meters away, and you become this hammer throwing. And then next, you got hammer throwing champions, and you're selling specialty hammers and entries to competitions. And then you're selling courses on how to throw the hammer in such a way. Like, I know it sounds ridiculous, but just the idea of taking something completely nonsensical and go, we can make something out of this. Next thing you know, it's in the Olympics.
Yeah, like if it's your passion and you genuinely love doing it, then just keep doing it. And who knows, in 10, 15 years' time, you might have a multi-million-dollar business empire based off the back of your passion. But I think just the thing I would like to just impart to people is, if you love doing something and it gives you joy and you're obsessed with it and you love learning the details of it, just do it, because you never know where that's going to lead you. Like in 10 years' time or 15 years' time, like you might be onto something which could be a business. But if you're thinking about it from the perspective of how can I do this? What can I do to generate money? You're probably starting from the wrong perspective. Like, trying to come up with novel ideas is not the best way to make money. Like, straight away, if you're trying to come up with a novel content creation idea, like, just follow your passion, as hokey as that sounds. And if it's your passion, who knows? Something might come of it. But if you get good enough at something, why not?
I agree. See, the other thing too is, if we bring this back down to reality and we drop the whole hammer throwing thing, like, if you are good enough at something, or even if you're not, you can still sell the journey of, like, I'm going to learn, sell my journey from white belt to black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So many people would watch that. And then you can obviously sell the skill later too. But I remember thinking years ago, there's a bunch of ventures I tried that I look back and think, it's possible. It's just less likely compared to what I'm doing at the moment. Even drawing, I mean, you can sell drawing, you can teach drawing, you can do entertainment on drawing, have a Patreon, you can do all that stuff. But I feel like even watching, I had a website for a while there where I reviewed martial arts movies, and it made, at its peak, it was making $300 or $400 a month, just ad revenue. It was just a blog. But there are people who do that full time, and that's just watching movies and talking about them. Like, and I even had an ebook I wrote with the best. I was basically like a director of the best martial arts movies, and I wouldn't say I sold a ton of them, but I got my time back in money. So I think as long as you can take whatever it is you're looking at, and if you understand the landscape of how does money work, how are the avenues, like ad revenue on YouTube or on a blog, a product you can sell, whether it's digital, physical, there's affiliate marketing if you want to sell other people's products, if you're talking about other people's products. If you can look at all the avenues, you could probably find a connection there to some degree, I think, to monetize.
I agree. But the important thing about all of that is you have to have the passion which fuels the development of something worth watching.
Agree. If someone doesn't want to do it, they're not going to want to watch you.
All right, dude. Well, do you have any more questions, or is that us on that one?
Mate, I think that those two, that's pretty much it for now. I think that's given us plenty to talk about. So, yeah.
So where can the good people find you, young Wayne?
If you search for Creator Impact on YouTube, Instagram, X, or Facebook, I'll be there. Preferably, YouTube is probably where you're going to find most of my content. Creator Impact is pretty much it. What about you? Where can they find you?
Well, people can find myself at the YouTube channel is at HPM Guitar. So the website is www.hpmguitar.com, and I've got breaking news, Wade. Breaking news. I'm going to be starting an Instagram account.
Nice.
Dun dun dun. So if you want to follow me, which is going to be specifically guitar-based and music-based content, that's going to be Ryan Wyatt, which is WYATT, guitar, all one word, on the Instagrams. So everyone, have yourselves a great day, week, month, year, potentially a life, and we will catch you in the next episode.
Peace. Have a good one, guys.